Hey everyone, it's 9. I gotta give you all a big thank you for 1,000 subscribers. It's been a long road, and I hope to grow bigger and make a lot more content for you guys. I'd also like to thank my first Patreon contributor, Aaron Gardner. It's people like you that give me that extra boost in money to get more hardware to show you guys. If you'd like to be like him and help me make more content, please drop me a donation over at patreon.com/9vapor. For my 1,000 subscriber special, I'm doing a video on none other than the PSP-1000. It may not be vintage or be a computer, but it's getting quite old and is still a great game system to this day. The PSP-1000 was released in North America on March 24th, 2005, with a stunning spec sheet for a handheld at the time. A 4.3-inch screen, a 222MHz processor, 2 graphics cores, 32 megs of RAM, and a disk drive on the back. Remember, this console was directly competing against the Nintendo DS, a system that was technologically inferior to these specs in every way. But the PSP did not overtake the DS in sales. Actually, by the end of their life, the DS had sold almost double the amount of consoles in its lineup than the PSP. Why was this? The graphics were better, the games had better textures, and there were more resources to make a great game on the PSP. But yet it still got outsold by the lower tech console, hand over fist. Well, first things first, this was Sony's first stake in the handheld business. Nintendo had been making handheld consoles since the 80s, and they had quite a bit of experience. Nintendo also had the name recognition in the handheld business. At this point, Sony had only been known for making their phenomenal home consoles, the PS1 and the PS2. Sony also didn't have nearly as many third-party publishers, since a Nintendo DS game could not be easily ported to the platform for obvious reasons, so usually games either came out on the DS or the PSP exclusively. We also can't ignore how a good portion of the sales of the PSP was due to its hacking capability and huge homebrew scene. This was the perfect emulation machine, and the fact that you could have all the games from the 80s and 90s in your pocket was a great motivator, especially in the mid-2000s. Now let's take a look at the system itself. The screen was quite good for the day, but today we have screens with much higher resolution in our pockets. For PSP games this isn't a problem, and Nintendo still has lower res screens than the 3DS. The thumbstick leaves a bit to be desired, but it's hard to put an analog stick into this small amount of space, considering this also has a D-pad as well. Speaking of the D-pad, it's well built, but a bit mushy. This is most likely intentional since it's easy to spin and rock it back and forth. The shoulder buttons are nice and clicky, giving a decent amount of feedback when you press them. The PlayStation buttons feel just as good as any, and they feel decent. The home, select, start, and volume buttons are a bit annoying, since it's hard to really know if you're pressing them down or not unless you're playing it in daylight. The UMD drive is odd to see in today's context, but back then it was a lot cheaper to put things on disk than it was to use flash memory cartridges. Sony has always delivered quality with their hi-fi music players and their drive mechanisms. We're talking about the same people who brought us the Walkman. The battery is in a convenient place and is easily removable and replaceable, which if you wanted to get one of these today would be a good idea to do that. Most batteries from the launch era are close to death or completely dead. The PSP used an odd storage medium, the Memory Stick Pro Duo. This flash storage was part of the format war with the SD card. It's obvious today which format won. So today I'm going to use an adapter to convert microSD card to Memory Stick Pro Duo. Unfortunately, the one I got, only one of the ports works. If you want one of these for your own PSP, look up PhotoFast CR5400. They're very cheap and they can give you a lot larger capacities than most memory sticks you'll find out there. When we power on the device, we find a typical PlayStation menu setup. It's easy to get to all your games and media. The PSP can also play PS1 games natively by running what are called PS1 e-boots. I have one here for my favorite PS1 game, Driver 2. Overall, the PSP is a great little system, and if you can pick up a working one, I'd highly recommend it. Let me know in the comment section below if you'd like to see me make more content about the PSP, or any other suggestions you might have. Thanks for watching, and as always, if you liked the video, like and subscribe. While you're at it, maybe drop me a few dollars on Patreon if you want to help me make some more content. Links in the description. Thank you!